Coercive control is one of the strongest known predictors of intimate partner homicide. Most people who are killed by a partner were controlled by that partner first. Sometimes it could be for years. Most of the time, it didn't leave a single mark on the person's body while it was happening. And in most of the country, that pattern still is not a crime. Not because it's not dangerous, because it's very dangerous psychologically, and it can be dangerous physically, but because the laws themselves have not caught up. There's a woman whose name is now attached to a bill because of what happened to her. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about her story. And I'm going to tell you why we should never, ever need a death certificate to get a law written. For those of you who are here for the first time, my name is Cheryl Sayre. I'm a licensed psychotherapist and a national board certified forensic mental health evaluator and a Florida Supreme Court family mediator. So let's talk about what illegal actually means, because from the comments section, I keep getting asked, where is it illegal or law? So we're going to talk about how there's two different situations happening there. There's criminal law, and that means a state can charge and prosecute someone for coercive control itself in its own offense, whether or not there was ever a single act of violence. So that is the criminal law. Then there's civil and family laws, which are different. And in those, it means coercive control can be named and used in something like a protective order, a custody decision, but it is not a crime someone can be arrested and charged for. And so most of the movement in the United States right now is happening in the second category, in civil and family law. Only one state has actually made it a standalone crime, and that is Hawaii. Hawaii is currently the only state to have criminalized coercive control as its own standalone offense. 8 other states have laws in effect recognizing coercive control in a civil and family law matter. So that means that it can be used in a protective order or a custody decision, but on its own, it is not a crime. Someone cannot be arrested for it. Those states that have it written somehow, some way fit into the family law are California, Connecticut, Massachusetts, New Jersey, Washington, New Hampshire, Vermont, and Arizona. Bills are actively pending, not yet law, in 5 other states. And that is South Carolina, New York, Maryland, West Virginia, and Kentucky. Beyond that, there's a large whole middle section, 16 states where there is a law that has been claimed by some advocacy sources, but when I've looked it up, it doesn't actually match the actual statute. So I'd say go look it up for yourself or talk to an attorney about that. And then we have 21 other states where there's nothing at all. I actually live in one of those states where there is absolutely nothing, no coercive control language anywhere in there, not in family, civil, criminal, nothing, just vast nothingness. So if you are in a state where it is still not named anywhere in the law, the absence of that statute does not by any means mean that there is an absence of harm, because it's happening. I see it in my state as well. And some of the other states that I'm licensed in also happen to be, well, Connecticut has a law. So what does it mean? It realistically means that they basically haven't found the words for it yet to write it into a law. They haven't found a way to fit it in the way it needs to be. But just because that is happening does not mean that nothing is happening to you, because you've known what is happening and you have actively lived this or are currently living this. So I did have questions from beyond the United States. So United Kingdom, you are up first. Coercive control has been a standalone criminal offense in England and Wales since 2015 under Section 76 of the Serious Crimes Act. Scotland followed in 2019 with a law that honestly a lot of people consider the most comprehensive version of this offense anywhere in the world. Scotland is holding the title for that. So they're someone for us to look up to. Ireland and Northern Ireland have also criminalized it. So basically, the UK is not new to this fight. They're actually ahead of most of the world. And then Australia, here you are. Australia, welcome. You have New South Wales was the first Australian state to make it a standalone crime, and that happened in 2024. Queensland followed in 2025. South Australia has passed a law. It's not yet in force, but you do have one. It's just not in force yet. So Victoria, Tasmania, the ACT, and the Northern Territory currently handle it inside of the broader family violence law rather than its own offense. And several of those places have said they intend to change that. So that is progression that is happening there. Now, my people upstairs in Canada, this is actually brand new, and there are actually two separate developments. One is in criminal and one is civil. In June of 2026, Canada's parliament passed the Protecting Victims Act, and that created a federal crime offense for coercive control. It received a royal assent on June 18th, but the coercive control provisions don't actually take effect until no later than June of 2028. So in Canada, a month before that bill passed on May 15th, 2026, the Supreme Court of Canada ruled on a case called, I'm gonna kind of probably ruin the way you say this. I believe you say it Ahuwalia versus Ahuwalia. The court created something new and a civil tort of intimate partner violence built specifically around coercive control. That means a survivor in Canada can already sue for damages based on a pattern of coercive control alone without needing to prove a single physical assault. That is actually in effect right now today. If you're watching this from Toronto or Sydney or Manchester, you are not outside of this conversation. You are living through the exact same fight, just you're at a different point on that timeline. So now let me tell you about Mika Miller. So South Carolina is not that far from me. It's someplace that I really like to go to. And there was a 30-year-old woman there, and her name was Mika Miller. She was from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. In April of 2024, she died from a gunshot wound at a state park in North Carolina. 2 days after she served her husband, who was a pastor, with divorce papers. North Carolina authorities ruled it as a suicide. Her family has never accepted that conclusion. In the time since the allegations from her friends and family about years of alleged coercive control by her husband, it gained national attention. Then in December of 2025, a federal grand jury indicted him on charges of cyber stalking and making false statements to investigators. The case is ongoing. He is indicted, not convicted. So nothing about her death has been legally adjudicated yet. But advocates and lawmakers in South Carolina introduced a bill that they call Mika's Law, aiming to make coercive control its own criminal offense in that state, with penalties of up to 10 years in prison. Her sister has testified in front of lawmakers. The bill got a hearing this spring. It did not get a vote, and it stalled in the committee before this year's legislative session ended. The senator who sponsored it says he intends to reintroduce it when they reconvene in January of 2027. A law named after someone who died is absolute proof that our system has waited too long to listen to everyone who is still alive and who is still dealing with this and who is going through it right now. We absolutely, under no circumstances, should ever need a body and a name to get a law written. The pattern Mika's family described, the isolation, the monitoring, the fear, it's not rare and it's not new. It has been described by survivors for decades before any legislator was willing to put it into a statute. This is how slow it moves, even after the worst possible thing has already happened. I don't know why we need to keep questioning this. I don't know why we need stacks of bodies and 4 million reports and children being subjected to this. I don't know why we need all of that before we can say this is a crime. If nothing else, it's like it's a liberty crime. Like you are literally removing somebody's access to move freely, to think freely. Like it is, and I'm not an attorney. I mean, maybe I'm completely wrong, but to me, it seems like if nothing else, it would be that. But it should be criminal because the abuse that we do inside of someone's mind and their body and to their nervous system, it doesn't just go away when the person goes away. It lives in us. There's a whole book written on how the body keeps score. It is why you can be out of the situation. You can be 10 years out of the situation, having dinner and hear a glass break in a restaurant where you're out with your friends and you are startled and you jumped and you feel a little panicky and your hands start sweating and you start to get a little anxious because it reminds you, the sound reminds you. It is complex PTSD. There are nightmares and memories. It's it just shouldn't we shouldn't need it. We shouldn't need this to happen. And since I posted my other video on coercive control and explaining what a lot of other people skip over or don't explain, I have to tell you, I was a little disturbed by the number of people who sent me emails saying that they lost their grandchild, their sister, their aunt, their mom, their dad, friends to coercive control. And when I say lost them, I don't mean that they are living in a house and there's some kind of an estrangement. I mean, they actually had to bury these people. That should not be happening. No one should watch their child. No one should have to watch their child, their mom, their dad. I'm going to get emotional because it really bothers me next level. And that is why I do this. But that is not something that we should have to experience or watch. There should be things in place to protect, and there's not. And that is why we have to get together and create safe spaces. Speaking of safe spaces, I know a lot of you feel compelled to put something in the comment section. Comments absolutely help to push this through the algorithm. Please don't put anything that's too personal, because I can't control who's reading your comment, and I can't control who's going to reach out to you or figure out who you are. I have no control over that. Please, if you want to leave a comment, just leave a thank you, a heart, something like that. Don't expose yourself. If you want me to know something, email me. I read every single email. I will respond to you. It might take me some time, but I will do that. But let's just be safe in the comments, okay? So, what can you actually do about this? Find out which bucket your state is in. And I put a handout. I'm going to link it below. It's going to be pinned in the comments. I'm going to put it in the description. You don't have to give me your email address or anything like that. It's a direct link. You can download it. It's got each state listed, who you need to contact to get this going in your area or add testimony. Because if your state has a pending bill, contacting your state senator or representative directly is the best possible thing that you can do. A short, specific message referencing the bill number will carry more weight than anything else will. If we just, put a blanket form out there and say, like, oh, you should pass this. This is a really good thing. It doesn't help as much as actual lived experience does. The actual lived experience, when they read those things and they go over it and they see hundreds upon hundreds or thousands, that's serious. That is serious. You cannot read a person's situation and not be moved by it and not feel something, versus if it's just a blank form and everybody signs it. That's part of how these things kind of don't get pushed through. So the more testimony and examples that you can add, the more likely it is that something will move forward in your state. Now, if your state has nothing at all, coalitions already exist in most states doing this work. So look for your state's domestic violence before starting from zero. You don't have to start it all on your own. And if you're someone who is in a position to start collecting this information, to put it all together, to get to your government, to your local government, to start working on getting a law done, one thing I want to tell you is being able to explain and getting testimony about the day-to-day interactions, what it is actually like to live in a coercively controlled environment, those day-to-day interactions, those pattern establishments, they're going to help way more than statistics, because the statistics give us a general overview. The statistics are going to tell us things like non-physical assault or verbal altercations or isolation. But what does it mean? That is the whole thing, and all documentation, even for yourself. What does it mean? What does isolation mean? What does it mean to you? We could have two totally different definitions of isolation. What does it specifically mean to you in your situation? And that is something that a statistic cannot tell us. It can tell us that there were, we'll just say, 100,000 calls into the shelter where somebody had been physically assaulted. So we know that somebody was physically assaulted, but what are the details? Is that a broken arm? Like, what exact was that, a remote control flying through the air that accidentally hit you, that, they were just mad and they were just trying to throw it out of the room, and, you just happened to be in the way and it hit you? Like, what are we talking about? Those are the details. All those little accidents. I was walking past you and I tripped and that's how you got thrown into the wall. Like, what are the details? Statistics don't tell details. They tell generalizations of events or circumstances that are happening. And I promise you, the lawmakers, they already have the statistics. They almost never have the story. So we need to give them the story. All right. Well, this video only reaches the next person if you hype it in the next 7 days and share it with the one person you are thinking of right now. The state handout is linked below. It's in the pinned comment. Over the next 2 weeks, I am going to, maybe sooner than that, but over the next 2 weeks, I'm going to walk through every one of the 7 relationships: self, parents, partners, children, money, body, and faith, and show you exactly how coercive control and other forms of abuse show up differently in each one. So, one video, one relationship every few days. This is the first one. And one more thing before you go, sometimes a hard relationship is just a hard relationship, and it is not coercive control. Not every single conflict is the pattern that we are looking out for. And I want you to be able to hold both of those at once, because that's how you tell the difference between a relationship that's hard and a relationship that is controlling you. So that's what I've got. I will see you in the next one.